Thanks to Printify for sponsoring today's video. Now, December is in full swing, and as you can tell, I am definitely getting into the holiday spirit around here. But if you are a print-on-demand seller, then it is definitely time to start thinking and strategizing about 2024. Now, there are so many amazing events and trends and niches that are going to be huge next year. So in today's video, I'm breaking down and listing out some of the biggest trends, niches, events, and aesthetics that you need to be aware of for next year. Now, there are probably quite a few that you haven't even thought about before, so make sure you stick around for this full list. Now, let's not waste any more time and just dive right into those aesthetics, niches, and trends that you need to be thinking about for next year. Now, one of the first niches that I know is going to do really, really well next year is something that only comes about every few years. Now, if you weren't aware, next year is actually a leap year. So if you're not familiar with leap year, it just means that in February we have an extra day, which is February 29th. Now, even though this only comes about every few years, there are a ton of people that are actually born on leap years, and when one comes about, since it is so rare, tons of people love to acknowledge it by either giving a gift to someone or wearing a t-shirt that has something to do with leap year. Now, there are a ton of different ways and niches that you could approach a leap year type design, but one of the most common ones is people like to celebrate quote unquote their real age. So if they were born on a leap year and they've only really experienced 4 of them in their life, then they might say that, oh, I'm celebrating my 4th birthday, or maybe this is my 8th birthday this year. Already, gifts and designs that have to do with people's birthdays or ages do really, really well. And since this is a more unusual thing, people really like to acknowledge it. So definitely try your hand at making quite a few different leap year designs. Now, this is definitely one of the events that's towards the earlier end of the year. So right now is a perfect time to start uploading these types of designs for anyone born on a leap year or who wants to give a leap year gift. Now, this next niche is going to be huge this year. And even though this event really doesn't take place until the end of 2024, already designs in this particular niche are selling like crazy, and it's only going to get more and more as the months ramp up. And that is the political niche. Now, political shirts do very well every single year. I myself sell a huge number of political designs all throughout the year, but especially because 2024 is an election year for the United States for the presidential election, people are buying tons of political type designs. Now, there are many different ways that you could take this, making designs for or against either side. And what I have personally found is that I really do not like to target any particular person or candidate. That just tends to get a little bit more risky when you are using actual people's names, or you could even get into the territory of maybe saying something against a particular candidate, which can be a little bit risky on different sites. So generally what I like to do is maybe make a shirt that is more geared towards political niche as a whole. So as opposed to making a shirt that is for a certain Republican candidate or for a certain Democratic candidate, you could make a shirt that's maybe for a Republican dad or a conservative mom, or maybe a Democratic dad or mom, something like that. So going a little bit more broad with this, but also thinking about the people who are buying these shirts is a great strategy. Political shirts on either side can be huge moneymakers. So if this is not something you've thought about targeting, it definitely could be a great place to start. Now, the next trend that I want to talk about for 2024 is an aesthetic that has already been super popular this year, but I anticipate it even getting bigger and bigger next year. And that is kind of the oversized aesthetic. So many people are buying clothes that are kind of more in that oversized baggy look, especially for the younger generations like Gen Z. Now, as a print-on-demand seller, we have the unique opportunity to be able to sell a ton of different types of products. Now, t-shirts continue to be the bread and butter of my business, but there are multiple different types of t-shirts that you could try selling in your shop. Now, to actually tap into this really baggy, oversized aesthetic that is so popular, I definitely recommend checking out the Comfort Colors t-shirts. Now, if you are a seller on Printify, they have a great selection of these. Comfort Colors do tend to be a little bit more pricey than your standard Bella and Canvas t-shirt or a Gildan t-shirt. However, people are actually specifically looking for them by name on sites like Etsy, so it's really worth investing in them if you really want to target that baggy aesthetic and especially go for that younger demographic. You can even include the words Comfort Colors colors in your title and description because, like I said, people are searching those keywords by names. So if you wanted to make something like a retro Western comfort colors t-shirt, that could do really, really well. And make sure you're including things like baggy or oversized, retro. Those are all really trendy keywords right now that do really well for this type of item. Now, another big event for 2024 that I know a ton of products are going to be sold for is actually April 8th. There is going to be a total solar eclipse in a ton of different states. Now, anytime there is a solar event happening, a lot of times products with that particular niche do very, very well. Teachers, students, or just people who are interested in solar events that are happening kind of once in a lifetime make a point to buy items to wear around this time. Now, there were some solar events that happened in 2023 that were a little bit of a smaller scale, and even around those days, shirts that were targeting that particular eclipse did really, really well. So the fact that multiple states are getting a total solar eclipse in April means that a lot of items are going to sell really well that are specifically targeting that event. Now, you definitely want to be one of the first ones who is uploading these types of items. So even though it's not until April, if you are watching this video right now in December 2023, I would already start thinking about uploading some designs in this niche. Now, the next niche that is going to be huge in 2024 is one that has already done really well this past year, but it's just going to continue to get better. And that is tees with a 1960s or 1970s inspired aesthetic. Focus on this kind of time frame. So along with kind of the retro revival that everyone is just loving all things vintage, these kind of cute retro style tees are doing really, really well, especially with a font like this. Now, an aesthetic like this isn't something that you necessarily have to just make a tee that is a retro vintage 1960s tee. But with an aesthetic like this, you could take any niche that you're already selling in. So say you sell a lot of mom t-shirts. Well, just putting a kind of retro vintage twist on the font that you use, the colors that you choose, could do really, really well. So if you already have a number of niches you're selling in, consider adding kind of this retro vintage 1960s and 70s style twist to them. Now, last year, we definitely saw that groovy wavy font was doing so well, and I definitely think that's going to continue, but I know a lot more people are just loving the more vintage style lettering that's not necessarily that groovy look. So I think both of those style letterings are going to continue to do well. I just think that the vintage style is going to take off a lot more than it has this year in 2024. Now, the next niche or trend that is going to do really, really well in 2024 is something that a lot of people are already really into in 2023, and that is really only buying sustainable products. Now, as a print-on-demand seller, you might think that you don't have the opportunity to actually sell products that are green or sustainable, but that's not the case. Especially if you are a Printify seller, there are a ton of green and sustainable options, eco-friendly options, and you can actually sort by them on the Printify site to only see those. Now, not only is this great for the planet to be selling products that are really sustainable, but a ton of people are looking on places like Etsy to specifically buy things that are eco-conscious and really friendly to the earth. So by selling these types of products, you're tapping into a whole new audience that would only buy a product if it is made sustainably. If you're looking for a very niche specific Etsy shop idea, this could be a great approach to target, to only list items that are eco-conscious or really earth-friendly in your shop so that you can include that all over your branding. And if you're selling kid or baby items, this is a huge niche in itself for really eco-conscious baby products. People want to make sure the items they are putting on their kids are going to be really safe and not harmful for them. So there is a huge market of parents looking for these particular items. So if you've never explored the different options on Printify for their eco-conscious products, I definitely recommend looking into those and adding some to your shops, or even starting a completely new shop with just those types of items. Now, their eco-conscious products aren't just limited to apparel, they also have a lot of home items as well. So you could definitely think about including those too. Now, another huge niche or aesthetic that is going to continue to do really, really well in 2024 is actually going to be all things pink. In doing a lot of my research for this video, I found that one of the biggest designer and consumer trends is definitely really colorful things, especially in that pink color. Now, there's definitely a few reasons for this. In 2023, we saw the Barbie movie come out and people were wearing all things pink. They just couldn't get enough of it. But I know this is going to continue into 2024 because people are really gravitating towards a lot more colorful options, and there's even some other movies that I know is going to renew that interest in pink, one of them being even the Mean Girls movie that is coming out towards the beginning of 2024. Now, whenever there is a big event like this, people are buying items specifically to wear to that event or time, and pink is just a color that sells really well even previously, but it's just going to do even better. In fact, I actually have a video right here that talks about the best fonts and colors that sell for me, and pink has made that list before. But I know that pink items are going to do even better. Now, typically in print on demand, your black t-shirt does the best, but if you're really looking for a way to stand out, especially in niches where it really makes sense, I definitely recommend putting a lot of your designs on a pink t-shirt. Don't be afraid of color this year because tons of people are really loving it. Now, the next niche that you definitely want to think about targeting this year is going to be shirts and items with years ending in the number 4. So every single year, we kind of have a new opportunity to tap into a niche that has all new products. So a lot of times in print on demand, a maybe dad shirt or a fishing shirt that was made 10 years ago might still be the best seller in that niche today. However, anytime a shirt is posted with a specific year on it, you are kind of only competing with the people that have posted designs for this year, not all the years previously. So this year in 2024, people that were born in 74, 84, and 94, they're all celebrating really big birthdays. So if you can think about making shirts that target those specific years, or mugs or other types of products that say those years on them, that is going to be a great addition to your shop. And another bonus for creating items like this that are tied to a specific year is you can really make those scalable. So if you save all of those year designs, towards the end of next year, you can start posting all the designs for 2025 too, and you won't have to change anything except the last number of that design. So it's really efficient for making these types of designs. Now, the next trend and aesthetic that is going to do really well in 2024 kind of goes hand in hand with another niche that I talked about earlier, actually kind of two of them, and that is the kind of grunge retro aesthetic of the early 2000s. This is already doing really well this year, but it is predicted to do even better in 2024. So along with kind of that oversized style and vintage, we have the retro grunge aesthetic of the early 2000s. So Comfort Colors t-shirts would be great for this, but also making sure that the fonts you're using and the designs that you're creating really work in that retro grunge aesthetic. If you do have a Kindle subscription, which I will link their info down below, they have a ton of templates that are in this early 2000s retro grunge aesthetic, so those would be great to use. But on Etsy, on Amazon, these items are starting to sell really, really well. People are loving this particular aesthetic, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Again, like that other aesthetic I talked about, this isn't something you necessarily have to make a design that is just geared towards this aesthetic, but you can take any of the niches that you want to post in or that already do really well and just kind of put a grunge twist on them. That is a great approach to take with this type of trend. Now, if this video sparks some ideas and inspiration for you, and you want some even more inspiration of how to go about creating a really fantastic design to use with one of these ideas, I definitely recommend checking out this video next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.